Here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Okay, now for the lightning round.
I'm so good at lightning rounds. That's from Friends. It's my favorite show.
20 seconds on the clock starts now. Who is the captain of the USS Enterprise?
Oh, crap. Is it, Captain Stubing? No, Morgan? Crunch?
Next question. Which superhero is Tony Stark?
Stark. Did Game of Thrones have superheroes? I only watched 2 episodes.
What planet were Luke and Leia born on?
Planet Fitness?
Oh, time's up. Sorry. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, Mandy Kaplan here. Please check out my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, where each week an incredible guest tries to baptize this mainstream mom into the world of sci-fi, fantasy, and all things nerdy. Available wherever you podcast.
That's our show, folks.
Wait. I just thought of it. Padme Amidala gave birth to her twins Luke and Leia on Polis Massa. No, that's dumb. Is it Planet Hollywood?
Coming up on The Devil's Details. Holy war, Bapho-Man! Good morning, Star Lovelies, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Kynan Diaz.
And we're just 2 lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And just a reminder, today's episode was originally recorded as bonus content for our first podcast, The Exorcist Minute, so I think we should hand it over. Take it away, past Lester and Kynan. Stand in solidarity with the SAG-AFTRA strike. And today, folks, we are bringing you part 4 of the history of the devil. Kynan, what do we remember from the last episode?
Talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm Da Vinci over here.
Yeah, we're talking about Da Vinci a lot.
Yeah.
What makes a last name a last name? Okay, so we had to go into angelology because it turns out that in St. Thomas Aquinas' version of demonology,
Not
angels
Aquinas.
are just... It turns out that demons are angels, so we had to go through all of the rankings of the courts of demons, and we had to go through some of St. Augustine's ideas as well about the relationship of God and the meaning of the creation of angels and all that.
Right. And there was that penultimate, proof of his 5 proofs that I still don't understand.
Just forget it. Leave it alone, man.
If you can conceive of something perfect, that means it exists. I don't know. Well, whatever. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense to me. By the very nature of perfection, it exists.
Fine. We'll just, you know what? It's a matter of faith. I'll just wow.
Oh, ye of little ontological faith.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We got ontology, angelology. We got the etymology of all these demons. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so I'm really, really excited today, Kynan, because today, we are going to be talking about one of the most iconic figures in demonology and occultism. This is a figure that has intrigued scholars and historians and occultists for centuries. A figure that has come to be the face of modern-day Satanism, as well as being a symbol for various forms of occultism, mysticism, and esotericism. Right? This figure is often associated with the devil, and we may be forgiven for thinking that it is the devil, but it is not. I am, of course, talking about the mysterious and enigmatic Baphomet. But we can't talk about Baphomet without talking about the Knights Templar.
Oh.
And we can't talk about the Knights Templar without talking about the Crusades.
No.
And to do that, we need to take a trip to Lester and Kynan's History Corner.
What's this music going to be?
I don't know. It's like do 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 do. No, that's the circus thing. That's
the
gladiators, right? Which doesn't make any sense because I think of it as the entrance of the clowns,
right?
But it's the gladiators.
But "Send in the Clowns" is a very sad song. Yeah. Send in the clowns.
Nothing in this world makes any sense.
All right, let's play that music you paid.
Can you imagine? It's like, you're in ancient Rome, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got ancient Rome, and you're in the Colosseum, right?
Right.
And Caesar's up there, and everyone's looking. It's like, oh, it's Caesar, there he is. You might take a cheeky little photo, right?
Yeah, he's a god.
Yeah, right. It looks like it's selfie, but like right conveniently behind you is Caesar, right? It's like, so you get there in there too, right? But yeah, right. And down below, right? You hear the lions roaring. You hear the men, and they're getting ready for battle. They're psyching themselves up, right? And then somebody announces, and now the entry of the gladiators, and then you just hear. And you're like, what is this?
This is the March of Death.
Yeah. Imagine people dying to this. Right? People being eaten alive by and
it's one of those songs that never finishes, right?
Yeah.
It just keeps going. So like,
well, they designed it to never finish. We don't know how long this guy's going to last.
Yeah.
So I think this guy's I think this guy's definitely dead. Like he's the lion has definitely perforated him beyond recognition. He looks like a ragged sponge. Oh no, he's getting up. In 1,000 years, they'll still be playing. No, it's like this gladiator, and he's dying in a pool of his own blood. He's like, just tell me, in 1,000 years, they'll still be playing my song. Oh yeah. They'll definitely still be playing the song. It's like, yes, and it'll be associated with glory in battle. Sure. Yeah. Right.
Battle to sell popcorn to these rubes out here.
There's a sucker born every minute. Step right up. See the amazing strong man and the two-faced politician. No, wait, that's a real thing. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, well.
All right. Lester and Keenan's History Corner.
Yes.
Where are we going?
Now, folks, this was supposed to be different from a trap because it was like we actually needed to go here to talk about history, but we fell into a trap anyway. It's the gladiators trap. It's a circus trap. Yeah. But yeah, okay.
We're not going to ancient Rome. Where are we going?
We're a little bit past that, right? Mm-hmm. We're now like no longer is Rome associated with conquest and bloodshed in the name of the old gods.
Okay.
Now it's conquest and bloodshed in the name of Christ. So,
where the hell are we? I keep asking this question. Where have we gone?
We have gone to Lester and Keenan's History Corner.
I know. We're at Lester and Keenan's History Corner. When are we? What's happening?
Where are we? You mean where?
I said that. I covered my bases. You know I did. What the hell is going on here?
Okay. We're talking about the Crusades.
Okay. All right. Got it. All right. That makes some sense.
Yes.
We picked a new recurring segment and we went to one of the worst times in the history of man. Great. I understand.
Yes.
We couldn't be like the day they invented basketball. No.
No.
Not on this show.
No. Kynan, we think, like, whenever we look at a period in history, we're like, man, this period of history is full of violence and death and bloodshed. But if we took a step back, if we looked, if we had the eyes of God,
right,
we would see that all eras in history are shit.
Not that time they used those peach baskets and broke holes in the bottom to invent basketball.
That's true. That was actually a really cool time, right? Oh, really sweet. I see what you did there. Yeah.
Okay. So every day but that day.
Every day but that day, right?
It's pretty shitty.
And that's why they did a sport after it, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, we're talking about the Crusades, right? Essentially, the Crusades were a series of religious / military or military / religious, a lot of slashing in any case, right? There were a series of campaigns in the Middle Ages from the 11th to the 13th centuries, right? So we're still in the Middle Ages, Kynan.
Okay.
Right?
I got the slashing pun, but very late.
Oh, okay. I was waiting. Folks might have not noticed my I didn't say anything, but like behind my words there was like a oh.
You did it like a pro.
Yeah, right. Acting.
but now I get it.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Wonderful. Glad you. Do you want to do it again now that you get it? Or
no?
Okay. Good. We're moving on.
We're professionals.
Yes. But yeah. Okay, so what I was trying to say, this is the dangerous part of middle age, right? Like you spent all that money on a shiny new theology, right? With all the bells and whistles, right? And now you want to show it off. You want to take it for a spin, right? And sure, it might make you feel young, but buddy, you got to face the fact you're not 27 BCE anymore. Right? Those days are gone. Right. You're not the Roman Empire. Right? Ask a knight of the Middle Ages how often they think of the Roman Empire, and they'll say all the time. And that's sad, right? Because those days are gone. Now you're getting sick more often. Your infrastructure is fucked, and your plumbing doesn't work.
Right, bro. She doesn't think about you anymore. Queen Dido of Carthage. She doesn't think about you. Boudica, the warrior queen of the Celts, doesn't think about you. She's moved on.
Well, maybe if I just conquer a few more lands and convert a few more pagans, then
bro. If you're going to do that, you got to do it for yourself.
My hair's falling out, and I have the plague. Yeah, that's the Middle Ages, folks.
Might be related, actually, now I think about it. Your hair's falling out, and you got the plague. Which comes first there? Right.
Wait, did you say which? Yeah. But yeah, okay, so that's the Middle Ages, folks, right? And like what does any hot-blooded man in their Middle Ages do? They get the hell out of the house or the continent, and they go on a wild and crazy road trip with the boys, right? Minus the roads, because those are fucked up too. Oh, sorry. They're not what they used to be. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. The Roman roads and, all that stuff.
All roads lead to the Roman Empire, but not anymore.
Not anymore. Nope. Yeah. But yeah, so the primary goal of the Crusades was to reclaim their lost youth. No, it was to reclaim control of the Holy Land, which, from an anthropological perspective, this really is the same thing, right? This is trying to reclaim what is lost, right? Now, the Holy Land, that's Jerusalem and the surrounding areas, right, are not just holy to the Crusaders, right, but also to the people fighting the Crusaders,
right? And
therein lies the problem. Now, Kynan.
I would say also part of the problem is that they're talking about reclaiming things they didn't, whoever these Crusaders are, they never owned in the first place.
Yeah, so that quote unquote, I forgot. I should have. I keep forgetting that this is not a visual medium.
You've been doing the air quotes all the
quote unquote. Yeah, reclaiming.
Reclaim, right.
Yeah, reclaiming, right.
Right. Some other Christians controlled the Holy Land, but what does it have to do with you right now?
Right, exactly.
People who were doing this, yes.
Precisely. So we have this kind of like delusion of ownership, right?
Right.
With this thing, yeah, right. But I mean, okay, like Kynan, if I were to launch a crusade and I raided your fridge,
hey, no,
and I took from the fridge a can of Monster Energy drink, which is the holy of holies for me.
That's right.
You might not mind as much, right? Let's ignore the breaking and entering. I am European.
That's the advancement of Western civilization, baby.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah. You stole Monster Energy. I wasn't going to drink it anyways. Right.
Right. So that's me launching a crusade and stealing something that you don't really care about.
I might not have even known it was in there.
Yeah. Right. So I'm just going to take this back. Right.
Right.
But let's compare that to another scenario wherein I invade your home again. Right. That part doesn't change. Right. And I launch a crusade against your fridge. And I attempt to gain control of your Coca Cola.
Aha, yes.
And suddenly you're going to raise all this fuss about how you bought the Coca Cola and it's in your house and where did I get full chainmail armor and blah, 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 right? But you would have something to say, yes?
Yeah, even in this hypothetical, like I feel every hair on my body. Just, it's mine, yes, it's mine, right? Coca Cola.
And I would concede to the fact that it is in your house, right? But I would come back at you with the inarguable counterpoint that God told me the Coca Cola was mine, and it's inarguable because I have a sword.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah, inarguable.
Yeah,
you can't even understand St. Thomas Aquinas's
hey,
fourth rule. You talk about inarguable.
That Gordian knot and this sword, slice, right? I understand / solved it,
right?
Or solved / understand. Yeah, whatever. But let's add to this, Kynan. You also have a sword.
Well, thank God.
Yeah, right? And you have a similar claim that the Coca-Cola said a similar thing to you, or God said a similar thing to you. In this thing, it's, the analogy gets a little bit muddy, right?
Right,
But you don't actually call it Coca-Cola, you call it something different, which for some reason makes me mad. And we fight for 158 years. And all the time, the Coca-Cola is just sitting in the fridge, just a source of love and light and goodness. And it doesn't go bad, by the way. Coca-Cola just keeps being Coca-Cola, right? It doesn't expire. But it's everlasting. But now it is tainted by our spilled blood, which I guess is okay because the can is red.
Yeah, not just red, though. Pantone Color Book PMS 484.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's a very particular kind of red.
Well, you say, see, your particular religion says Pantone Color Book PMS 484. I say Pantone Color Book PMS 486.
You son of a bitch.
I was going to apologize for killing you for 158 years, but now...
No.
But yeah, that's the Crusades.
Right,
so we can leave Lester and Keenan's History Corner now.
Thank God.
Yeah. Don't cite us in any of your research papers or anything like that.
Now that we're leaving the Crusades, can we go and do our History Corner and when they invented the Ferris wheel?
You'll be surprised, Kynan. There's actually a lot of death in that one, too.
Oh, no.
But yeah, folks, you might be asking, where does the devil figure in all of this?
Yeah, where does the devil figure in all of this?
That is an excellent question. Where is he in all of this? Folks who've been with us the whole time.
The whole time?
The whole time. Might remember way back when we talked about how Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are all Abrahamic religions. That is, they trace their spiritual lineage back to Abraham of the Old Testament. They believe in the same God, though they might call him by a different name. However, back in the day, unfortunately, we weren't as nuanced as all that, and everyone not of the Christian faith was not only against us, but they were in fact being puppeted by the devil himself. Right? So it was believed. Sorry, I should specify that. It was believed by early Christians, right? So remember in our last episode...
sorry. And sometimes that was seen as a bigger deal than the pagan religions, like they were created by the devil. Like heretic religions were seen as even more of a test because they were so similar to your own faith. Right. And the one thing that the early Christian church could not stand was heresy. Right. Anything speaking against God or them. Right. The church. Right. So remember in our last episodes we had lots of fun creating all the lore surrounding the devil. Right. We got his origin story. Right. He's a fallen angel. He's the snake in the Garden of Eden. We decked out his pad. Now he lives in hell, which kind of resembles Hades, which is really metal. Right. There's a big old dog there.
Yeah, there's a big dog. There's like 3 dogs in one, right? Yeah. He's got an army of demons now, right? And they're actually fallen angels, right? We have his MO, right? He and the other fallen angels are here to tempt us and lead us astray, right? All of that stuff. Well, it turns out what we've also done is create the perfect mascot for the opposing team. The opposing team being anybody who is not Christian, right? No, not even that. Anybody who is not our specific flavor of Christian. In this case, Catholic.
Right.
Kynan, I just thought of a very important question. If Christian denominations were lifesavers, what flavor would Catholic be?
Oh, it's got to hurt a little. So like mint, but I like mint. Maybe cinnamon.
Ooh, yes, cinnamon, like peppermint.
Hot,
yeah.
Yeah, well, that hot cinnamon.
Yeah,
even more
cinnamon.
than peppermint. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta feel it.
I like your specification that it has to hurt.
Yes, it hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
That's right. Like a red hot, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, I was thinking of like it's very opulent, right? You got all those like the reds and the golds and everything. I was thinking like of a nice cherry or something like that, right? But I like your idea more, right? Like this hot cinnamon, right? Nice. Yeah. You're not going to say anything for any other denominations.
I was going to say we're not going to go through all of them.
No, we're not going to know. Right? You guys, folks out, like listeners at home, you decide who's lemon and who's lime, and and who is mint, and like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so in any case, right? Satan's army has gone from being spiritual to flesh and blood in the form of any and all enemies of Christ and Christendom. All right, and that includes the Muslim people. The Muslim people whose land we are currently invading to steal / reclaim. Again, a lot of slashing. What we see as our holy land. Never mind that they feel the exact same way about the land, right? We're the good guys. We are God's holy warriors battling against the forces of darkness. Right?
Yeah, this has been really helpful to me to think about how you could paint these religious cousins of ours as being placed there by the devil or by demons, right? And that's why from the perspective of the Crusaders, they have such an advanced religion and an advanced state, even like an advanced culture, and it's all like, oh, this is to tempt us away from the right religion. So I hadn't thought about that, from the perspective of the Crusaders before. Not that I'm trying to justify.
That's not that's not a hobby we endorse. Is trying to get into the Crusaders' heads.
Yeah, but I'm always like, it could be easy from 800 years later to be like, what the hell is with these guys? Like, why is this such a big deal for them? Like, why would they keep doing this? And it's just so easy to see that Muslims and Jews are part of the same, religious family. But of course they don't see it that way.
No. And this demonizing of the Muslim people, right?
Which is literal, right?
This is literally what they're doing, right? They're demonizing this other religion, right?
Right.
But this wasn't just relegated to the battlefield. Back home, people were writing religious texts and they were giving sermons and talking about how these people were agents of the devil or at least under demonic influence, right? And the popes and the religious leaders of the time were promoting the Crusades as this epic battle between good and evil. And like they brought it home to the people in Europe and they framed it like, no, we're defending Christianity, right? By going out and invading this land, we're defending all that is good.
Right.
And of course, what this did was it sparked this religious zeal within, nobles and knights and peasants alike. And they all signed up to go to the Holy Land and fight the devil. And of course, being part of God's army on earth is not without its perks, right? If you were a crusading knight, you got spiritual brownie points up the wazoo. That's not how they phrased it. But it was understood. The wazoo was understood, right? You could basically pay off all of your spiritual debt by joining the Crusades. You could hack and slash your way into heaven, essentially. Right? Now, among the most famous and prominent knightly orders during the Crusades were the Knights Templar, officially known as the, quote, poor fellow soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon. Hey!
They built it at this point.
Yeah, I hope so. Right? Now, these guys were founded in the early 12th century, and they gained widespread recognition and power during the Crusades. They were known for their military prowess and financial expertise, as well as their role in protecting pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, right? The Templars became highly influential and amassed considerable wealth and property.
Right. So the Knights are founded as the in Jerusalem. So their order is founded in the Holy Land, and then as Christians were being pushed out of it, they had strongholds in Rhodes in Greece. Right. So that's almost all the way to Turkey. So I mean, so they are more familiar with that area, and they have been dealing with political fights with Muslims and with the Ottomans and things like that. So their whole time.
Yes, and that actually comes into play a little bit later.
Okay,
right?
Great.
Yeah. Now, actually, most of the Templars weren't fighters, but financiers, taking an interest in the economic infrastructure, both within and beyond the reach of the church. You could say that because of their reach, they were the first multinational corporation, aside from Solomon Co., that is.
Solomon Co. has friends all across the world, as long as we understand that most of it's right next to Solomon Co.
Yes. And as long as we understand their particular definition of friends. But yeah, this episode was brought to you by Solomon Co. No. But no, one of the Templars' functions was to act as an early type of international bank, actually. They operated a system of estates across Europe and the Holy Land, and pilgrims and crusaders would deposit money and assets with the Templars at one location and receive a document confirming the deposit. This document could then be presented at another Templar establishment, and the deposited amount could be withdrawn. Yeah, they also engaged in lending and financing, often providing loans to nobles and monarchs and other entities. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I have some questions about that.
Yeah. They used this extensive financial network to transfer funds and facilitate trade. And in this way, they were able to fund the Crusades. So they were like the Wells Fargo of their time.
I thought Wells Fargo of their time would have been Wells Fargo.
You know what I mean. Now, they also functioned another way.
Mm-hmm.
Travel during the Middle Ages, especially for pilgrims and crusaders, could be dangerous.
Right.
The Templars offered a safe way for individuals to transport their wealth without carrying large sums of money. They also provided a level of trust, as the Templar order was highly respected and trusted both by Christian and Muslim rulers. So it really is like the Wells Fargo, like the stagecoach traveling through like perilous territory.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, when the Templars weren't banking or killing the Muslim people in the name of Jesus, they were in negotiations with them. While their primary role was military, there were instances where the Knights Templar engaged in negotiations with Muslim leaders. These negotiations often revolved around the terms of truces, prisoner exchanges, or the safety of Christian pilgrims. In some cases, there may have been a cultural exchange between the Templars and the Muslims. For example, the Templars would have been exposed to Islamic architecture and culture during their time in the Holy Land, which would have influenced their own practices.
Right.
Now,
because they had things that were more advanced than Europe in many ways.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're there, if you're spending a lot of time there, you can't not be influenced by this stuff.
Right.
Yeah. It's also important to note that the relationship between the Knights Templar and the Muslims was complex. Right. It's like it's the relationship status on Facebook. Right. Not it's complicated. It's complex. Right. Those are two different things. While they were enemies on the battlefield during the Crusades, they also had to navigate, political and diplomatic situations that sometimes required cooperation and negotiation. Right?
And I might also say, even though a lot of the Islamic empires down there were gigantic, they were distinct. So they were different.
Yes.
Yeah. So they knew the difference between the Ottomans and the Mamlukian Egyptians, etc. Like, so they didn't just see them as like, oh, all the people over there who are Muslim, and that's all the same.
Right. Yes, exactly. Right. Now, all that to say, right, fighting or fraternizing, right, they're spending a lot of time over there doing one or the other. And because of this, the people back home in Western Europe start to wonder if maybe these guys haven't actually switched sides. And so, near the end of their power in 1307, rumors are circulating about this supposed, quote unquote, I have to do the quotes, right?
Yes.
I have to say the quotes. This supposed holy order of knights. So these rumors range from the Knights Templar being corrupted by their enormous wealth. Remember, they got this banking thing going on, to being in league with the Muslim nations, to having secretly converted to Islam, to straight up witchcraft and devil worship, which, remember, folks, was pretty much the same thing to these early Christians, right? If it wasn't your flavor, it was under the devil's cloven hoof.
Well, I haven't heard about this. That's pretty nutso to suspect these people. These are some of the, holiest of holiest people. They're going out there and, becoming knights to God specifically.
Precisely, right?
Yeah.
You wonder why? Like, why would this holy order of knights get besmirched with? Why would this holy order of knights, which lends people money, suddenly start being the victim of like all of these rumors?
Okay.
Why would somebody who owes a lot of money to this holy order of knights suddenly want to see them disbanded and executed / tortured? A lot of slashing.
Right.
Yeah. But it also didn't help that the Templars shrouded themselves in mystery and secrecy, right? A lot of their activities were done in secret. A lot of their rites and their rituals, and even like the initiation into the order, all of these were closely guarded secrets. And that helped fan the flames for rumors that these guys weren't on the up and up, right? And those rumors were very convenient for folks back home, particularly anybody who owed money to the Templars. And King Philip IV of France, a.k.a. King Philip the Fair, a.k.a. King Philippe le Bel, he owed the Templars...
I like all those names.
Right? Those are all nice. Yeah.
Philippe le Bel.
Philippe le Bel, right? I am Philippe le Bel.
You just get to call yourself that when you're king.
Right?
It's get to say I'm really good. I'm like a really good looking.
Yes, right? Which actually, that raises a question, right? Have we seen a picture of this guy? Is he actually is he actually Le Bel?
Let's find some selfies of him at the Coliseum. Philippe Le Bel. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, now I gotta look. So, folks, bear with us. Hang on.
Yeah, he's a good looking guy. Depending on who's painting him, I guess.
Yeah. Philippe le Bel. Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I can see him. Yeah. Would you? I mean, we'll both give answers, but you met this guy on a blind date. Like, what would you say? Would you stay for dinner?
So I'd stay for dinner. I'd stay until I get a little fiefdom, maybe in Normandy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I hear his finances are not too good.
But he's got land at the very least. Yeah.
He didn't when I was with him. He didn't even he had me pay for both.
Oh no.
Entrees. It was actually kind of embarrassing.
I'll get you back, baby.
Yeah. He did that thing. He's like, oh, I will take care of it. Oh, my wallet. I don't. And he just kept on. He checked his right side wallet like 3 times, which is like, that's how you know he's faking. Like, you didn't bring your wallet, Mr. LaBelle.
Right. What about these 10 guys who are following you around in your retinue? What about them? Where are their wallets?
Right. And just each of them is like, oh.
We must have left them on the wallet table.
On the wallet. You have a wallet? Yes, it's very important. It's an old French custom. It's like, not modern French, old French, right? See, that way we can't cross-check it. We can't.
That's right.
Yeah. If I have a French friend and they're like, no, that's not what we do at all. It's like, no, this is Middle Ages French. This is pre-opera house.
Yeah, who's been telling me this is a French custom? Oh, Philip the Fair. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Oh, God.
Philip the Fair, yes.
Philip the Fair, yeah. Philip the Cheap is more like it.
Philippe le Cheap.
Philippe le Cheap. See? It rolls off the tongue. As my head rolls off my body. Yeah. But yeah, so he owed the Templars quite a lot of money, and so when he heard these rumors kind of circulating that the Knights Templar were a little bit sus, right? Right. He jumped on this opportunity to arrest, torture, and execute as many Templars as he could, right? And so on Friday, October 13th, 1307, King Philip the Fair gave orders to attack every Templar stronghold simultaneously in an effort to wipe them out for good. In Jesus' name.
So Friday, October 13th, is that where we get Friday the 13th? I mean,
it seems like it would be, right? Like this is certainly one of the instances that made this day unlucky. I mean, it was definitely unlucky for the Templars. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, 13 was actually considered unlucky in Norse mythology, thanks to Loki.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Loki. Hashtag. Yeah. But no, there's that story of all the gods that are at that party. Only in some versions they say it's 12 gods, and Loki isn't invited. And at the party, everyone's super impressed by this claim that nothing can harm the most beautiful and beloved god, Balder.
Oh, and so Balder, the beautiful Balder le Bel.
Yeah, Balder. Oh, there we go. Right. This is great grandfather of Philippe le Bel. Right. And of course, right, these are Viking gods, right? So I don't know, Kynan, you go to a party and everyone there is the whitest white people you ever did see. And someone makes a claim that they are impervious to injury at this party full of white people. What do you think is happening at this party when you get there?
Oh, yeah, knife throwing and setting people's shoes on fire.
Yeah. So these 12 gods are all taking turns trying to see if they can harm Balder, right? Whom they love so much. You just remember that.
Right. Balder le invincible.
Yeah, right. They're stabbing him with swords. They're shooting him with arrows, right? And it's all just bouncing off this guy, right? And everyone's like, hey, Balder, right? This is what my people get up to, Kynan. And then Loki shows up, uninvited, 13th guest, right, with this sharpened stick made of mistletoe. And he gets one of the gods to throw it at Balder's eye, right? He doesn't do it himself, right? This is important. He gets one of the gods to do it, and it kills him, right?
It kills him?
Yeah.
like permadeath, or?
Yeah, like he's done. He's dead.
Really?
Yeah, right? And there's more like before this, Balder's mother, she loved Balder so much that she actually went out to every thing in the known universe, right? And made all of them swear and promise that they wouldn't hurt her son, right?
Oh, okay.
So all the metals of the earth and the clouds of the sky and the leaves of the trees and the grass and and all the wild animals and all the wild beasts. And she went to every single thing except mistletoe like slept in that day or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So it didn't make the promise that it wouldn't harm Balder. And so now, Balder grows up and he's invincible. But then Loki knows about it. Like, so he's like, oh, mistletoe, right. And he goes and kills Balder because he's a prankster.
Well, I mean, just because mistletoe didn't make the promise doesn't mean it needs to kill the guy. There's a lot of things I haven't promised not to do that I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
This being one of them.
Right. But you're not being used by Loki.
Who knows?
Or are you?
Who could say?
Who can say? Right.
So does he get to go to Valhalla? He was killed, I guess not a battle, but
I actually don't know. I didn't get that far in this.
He's just dead. That's it. That's the end of the story, you're saying.
In some iterations, I think in other iterations he's fine because you know how these old stories go. It's like he dies and then he's like, "Hey, I'm that guy who died. It was really, really sad, except I'm here now."
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Even when Zeus kills the Titan, doesn't kill him.
No.
Just puts him in a hole.
Yep. That's it. Yeah. So
Jeez,
Balder's I think Balder is down in hell.
All right. Well.
Like hell as in H-E-L.
H-E-L.
Yeah. So Loki's daughter's domain.
All right. Well, geez.
Yeah. I could be wrong. I don't know. Like, my ancestors, please, no, actually don't correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want any of that, actually.
But yeah, Balder, write in theexorcistminute@gmail.com. Tell us where you are.
It's really complicated.
They told me I was in Valhalla, but then it turned out it was just Loki again. He says, neither.
Oh, your Swedish accent is so much better than mine.
Oh, good. I have Swedish in-laws, so I hope that.
Oh, perfect. There we go. We're not going to get in trouble by doing a Swedish accent.
Nah, fuck them. They're all the way up there. Yeah. What are they going to do?
All the way up there in Valhalla?
That's right.
That's it. The second coming of the Vikings, folks, triggered by the Exorcist Minute.
Yeah, they're building their longships now.
Yep. Anybody who gets me Kynan's head.
I promise you affordable healthcare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you mean you can't put together the longships? We got them from IKEA.
Just use a little wrench.
Yeah. It's included.
If it feels like you're forcing it, you've put it in the wrong place.
Yeah.
That's just good advice for anything, folks at home.
There we go. I got to put that in Lesterism. That's the other. This is like, yes, we're going after Kynan and Lester. It's like, whoa, which one? There's like 450,000. Anyway, okay. So we fell into the Viking trap. So as far as Christianity goes, going back to like the 13 thing, right?
Uh-huh.
A lot of people believe that Judas was the 13th apostle, but that's not true. There were 12.
There were 12.
Right.
Who was the other one?
Well, no, that's like that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
He was the 12th, right?
Right.
And then when he commits suicide or explodes in some versions, remember?
Right.
In this like detonation of blood and gristle,
mm-hmm.
That leaves 11 apostles,
okay,
right? So
right.
13 is never in there, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
But I have heard it's like, oh, why is 13 evil? It's like, oh, well, Judas. It's like, no, that doesn't make sense, right? But some folks,
he wasn't like the last to join, was he? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know about that, but like
even
if he was the last to join, he would be the 12th. But okay, so but what folks are saying now is that like, oh, well, there were 13 people at the Last Supper, so including Jesus.
Well, then I mean, Jesus would be the 13th, I would say.
Well, no, Jesus would be the first, Kynan. And Judas would be the 13th.
Why?
To make this work.
I don't know about this. I mean,
But yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, either way, yeah.
I'd love to find out. If Judas was the last of them in order who joined, maybe there's something there, but that's still 12.
Right, yeah.
And then Judas would be the 13th of them. Maybe that's something.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and then you got like Holy Thursday right before Good Friday, right? But that's that's also a bit of a stretch, right? So not a lot in the way of like Christian mythology for Friday the 13th, right? As far as I know, it's just because it's like so rare. It's a rare date, right? But yeah, so folks, if you want us to do a Friday the 13th deep dive later on down the road, like we'll do it. But for now, let's get back to our.
Yeah, I'm just already crapping on it. It's just not real.
Yeah,
no, I'd love to know more about this stuff, how it started. Yeah, but
sure. Yeah. But for now, let's get back to our deep dive of the devil.
Okay. So we're talking about Bapho-Man.
Yeah. So far in this episode about Bapho-Man, there's been very little Bapho-Man. Have you noticed this, folks? Well, yeah. Last time we just thought it was par for the course with you guys. But no. Okay. So confession time.
Go ahead. What do you have to confess?
No. I'm saying the name Baphomet didn't actually even come up until confession time.
Okay.
Yeah. So apparently King Philip IV of France, aka King Philip the Fair, aka King Philippe le Bel, right? He actually had them brought in on less specific charges. So King Philip, in collaboration with his buddy Pope Clement V, aka Papa C,
C5, I guess.
Yeah, Papa C5. Brought the Templars in on that old standby heresy, all right, which at the time was an umbrella term for any kind of threat to religious authority, right? This included deviation from the core tenets of Christianity as interpreted by the church, right? Note that, as interpreted by the church, right? Any contradiction to established doctrines or dogmas as interpreted by the church, or any individual interpretation of the religious texts not in line with the interpretation of the church, right? And not recognizing the authority of the Pope. That is Papa C.
Papa C5.
Yeah, Papa C5. Papa C. Papal C? Yeah. But yeah, so that's all they needed to round all the Knights Templar up and torture a confession out of them, right? This was back when all you needed to be condemned was to be accused. Right. You were guilty until proven dead, essentially. Right. And it's here that they got the Templars between a rock and a hard place, Kynan, right? We might touch on this again if we make it all the way to the Salem witch trials, but the idea of lying, of giving a false confession to get out of torture. Today it's easy. There's not even a question, right? Like you and me, like we're on the rack and we're like, you know, and they're like, tell the truth. Are you? And we're like, yes, whatever it is. Yes, I am absolutely that. I am whatever you want me to be. I am like, and whatever else you think up in the interim, I am those things too. Case closed. Let's get out of this dungeon.
I'm a troll doll. What do you want to say? I killed JFK. I was the one.
I'm a witch. I'm a wizard. I practiced sinful acts, right? Like I'll sign whatever document you want me to sign. It's like, well, what other heresies have you committed? Oh, tons. Just tons.
So
I can't even count. Like, but if you give me some time and some parchment and put me back in my cell, I'll come up with some. I'll write you a book, right?
Right. Some people call me a space cowboy. Yeah.
Some people call me the Antichrist.
That's right. Some people call me Maurice.
Yeah. Some people even call me Lester. But yeah, so I mean, like we wouldn't even bat an eye. Like we would give a false confession to avoid, death or torture or both, right? Like easy peasy. We would do that, right? Yeah, we would all sing like canaries, right? Now, I'm not saying back in the day people believed that like one single lie would send you straight to hell. Even back then, like the church saw most lies as like venial sins, is what they called, quote unquote, venial sins, right? Especially if it's like a lie out of necessity or something like that, right? Like it's bad, but it's not like a one-way ticket to hell, right? And so you might be thinking, but Lester, isn't giving a false confession to avoid torture a lie out of necessity?
Yeah, Lester, isn't giving a false confession to avoid torture a lie out of necessity?
It is to you. But to the court, and more importantly to the church, it's an undermining of their authority. So you're brought in on false charges of heresy. And instead of sticking to your guns and dying like a good Christian, you commit heresy by giving a false confession.
Okay.
Right? So you're basically, right, you're making fun of the church. Right? You're offending them in that way. Yeah? Now that said, under torture, the Templars eventually admitted, because who wouldn't, right? They eventually admitted to worshiping an idol called Baphomet.
Aha, ding, ding, ding. There he is.
There it is, right? We said we're going to talk about Baphomet, and now we're finally here. So now you might be asking, who or what is Baphomet?
Yeah, who or what is Baphomet?
Baphomet is Baphomet.
Yes, and I know who Baphomet is. I'm just telling.
Yeah.
Just that was in
Yeah,
character.
we understand. Right. Yeah, we understand Baphomet. We did this whole episode. It's in the show notes and everything. Yeah.
But he's an interesting looking thing. So
right. Yeah. So, but like even the knights who are confessing don't seem to know or agree.
right. They don't have Google like I do.
Yeah. Right. And now, Kynan, that Google image you're looking, that came way, way later.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
What did he look like to them?
Oh! You just buckle up. Because even now, historians can't seem to agree on whether Baphomet was like a physical idol that the Templars were worshiping, or whether it was a complete fabrication on the part of the accusers. There's even a theory that like Baphomet is simply a corruption of Mahomet, which is how you would say Muhammad in Old French.
Oh, okay.
Suggesting that like the Templars had been like partially influenced by or fully converted to the Islamic religion whilst in the Middle East, right? Now, again, remember that these early Christians, or let's say these early Catholics, right, saw Islam as not a fellow Abrahamic religion, but as pagan and therefore demonic, right? Just like every other religion, even other Christian ones, right? So the worshiping of Muhammad or Mahomet or Baphomet, right, would be heretical, yeah? And then Mahomet would later be transformed into Mehmet in Old English and essentially become synonymous with a false god, right? Another theory is that Baphomet comes from Mohammed, which is the Greek name for Muhammad, right? So again, right, referring to Muhammad. This is backed up by the fact that the Templars were exposed to Greek culture during the First Crusade, and so they would have heard tell of Mohammed from Greek Christians. Right?
But if you're living in the Middle East, right, you have a whole different perspective, probably, even if you were a Christian or Catholic who was living there and weren't converted or secretly converted or anything to Islam. I mean, the three major religions were intermingling in that. And I mean, so again, like the Temple of that Temple of Solomon?
Oh, yeah, the Temple of Solomon, right?
Right, that's where the Dome of the Rock is now. And that's one of the holiest sites in Islam, right? So it's literally tripping over each other over there.
Yes, right. And so, we don't actually know how much the Templars were familiar with the Islamic religion. They might have figured it out. They were like, wait a minute. Allah and God are the same guy, right? They might have figured that out, but all that to say, the folks back home in white people land in Europe, right? They're not getting that memo, right?
Right.
Yeah. So now, during the trials, Baphomet was described in various ways by individuals who were testifying against the Templars. So again, by people who weren't there, right? Or like by the people accusing them and questioning them. Again, quote unquote questioning, right? Because these descriptions were either made by the accusers or acquired under duress, right? So they're not very useful to us, right? Historically. But last year, I managed to find an incomplete set of Man, Myth, and Magic, an illustrated encyclopedia of the supernatural, right? I found this at a garage sale and grabbed up all the books they had. And one of them has an entry on Baphomet. Here's what it says. One of the accusations was that the Templars worshipped an idol named Baphomet. This was a head, sometimes said to be a human skull, sometimes a stuffed human head, sometimes a head with 3 faces. The knights were accused of believing that the head was the source of their riches and also the source of fertility. It made the trees blossom and the earth produce crops. There were supposed to be several of these heads kept at different Templar centers. One was described as being made of metal and having a face like a human face with curly black hair. Very few of the Templars confessed to worshipping the head. Of 231 knights, only 12 admitted to knowing anything about the head. So there you go.
Yeah.
Right? So
it sounds like as they're getting tortured, they'll say yes to yes or no questions, but when asked to describe things, they're not able to.
Exactly. Kynan, is this the origin of improv?
Oh, Jesus.
Is the origin of that fun theatrical game, improv, short for improvisation, was it born out of terrible torture?
No, well, in the form of improv that you and I practice today, the torture is through the audience. That's their experience.
Yes, right. So it has evolved, right, to where the improvisers are now the torturers. Yes.
That's right.
As is evidenced in this episode. Confess, listeners. No. Send your confessions to theexorcistminute@gmail.com
Oh.
in the form of a 5-star review. No. Yeah. But yeah, so this is really different from, like the images that you're seeing right now. Like,
Right,
you
yeah.
got this open on like a head,
Mm-hmm.
like a severed
Or a
human
skull,
head. Right?
or yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so you might be saying to yourself, wait a minute, that's not the Baphomet I know. Where's all the goat imagery? Where's the torch? Where's the wings? Where's the bebreasted body with one hand pointing up and one hand pointing down?
Yeah, where's all the goat, all the stuff you said?
Well, it turns out, Kynan,
Uh-huh.
all that stuff was added later, after the trials.
Uh-huh.
Much like the devil, Baphomet was a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Baphomet gained prominence in the 19th century with the writings and illustrations of French occultist Eliphas Lévy. Right? I'm trying to say that right. We got King Philippe le Bel,
That's right.
and we got Eliphas Lévy. I don't know if I can make fun of him because he's like maybe more current, right? He's 19th century.
Yeah,
right?
he might have fans around. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just leave it at that, right?
And he might be the devil.
Well, Wait a minute. Let's look at these letters. Lévy. No, it doesn't turn out.
No.
Oh, well. Anyway. So Lévy's work played a significant role in reshaping the image and symbolism of Baphomet, right? In his famous illustration, which I think you have up there, Kynan.
Right.
He is depicted as the sabbatic goat, or the goat of Mendes, right? Lévy depicted Baphomet as this goat-headed figure with human and animal features, right? This image combined elements of the ancient deity Pan, right, who we've talked about, and other mythological beings, right? Indeed. So while Lévy didn't explicitly equate Baphomet with the devil, his imagery contributed to a growing association between Baphomet and occultism, right?
He's got angel wings too in this original Lévy one. So so even if it's not supposed to be the devil, you could see where people would be like, oh, well, look at this. This is the devil,
right? But yeah, we're going to get to the wings in a little bit. So Lévy's illustration and his writings associated Baphomet with various occult and esoteric concepts such as duality and balance and the union of opposites. So actually, let's break this down.
Yeah,
okay?
we don't want any of that around our Christian children and women,
right?
The opposites existing at the same time.
Yes, at the same time.
Balance
together equal. Yeah, balance. No, equality. All right. Yeah. So okay. So let's look at this picture, and folks, if you want to play along with the Exorcist Minute, right? Just Google Baphomet Eliphas Lévy, right? So E-L-I. I like how I'm spelling the guy's name, right? You know how to spell Baphomet. Yeah. But so Eliphas, so E-L-I-P-H-A-S, and then Lévy, L-E-V-I.
Yeah.
It's like Levi's.
If you want to know how to spell Baphomet, just look down at your lower arm tattoo, and you'll see it spelled there.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, let's break down this image, right? So the most prominent feature of Lévy's Baphomet is the goat's head.
You know,
right?
that's
the first
thing you notice, right?
Yeah.
This guy's got a goat's head.
It's like, whoa, wait. Yeah. Okay. So the goat has long been associated with fertility, sensuality, and the occult, right? It could also be like, so the goat of Mendes, I've heard referring to the deification of the goat in these older religions, right? Which would be considered pagan religions, right? In some interpretations, the goat represents the masculine aspect of nature, right?
Okay.
Now, Baphomet's head also features a torch or a flame between his horns, right? I keep saying his, but you're going to know, we're going to talk about that as we go down the body, right? Yeah. But yeah, so we're talking about the torch, right? This symbolizes illumination, knowledge, enlightenment. It also suggests that Baphomet possesses hidden wisdom or represents the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment.
And this is all bad?
I'm not saying that.
Okay, all right.
No, I mean, like to the worshipers, no, that wouldn't be bad, right? Like all of these things, like you might notice, folks, none of these things seem bad.
Yeah.
Right? This is like, like if I were, Kynan, if you and I were, we're world building and we were making a high fantasy story, for example, right?
Right.
And we wanted to say, okay, like what does the high fantasy god in our story look like, right? We would want to like get all these symbols that symbolize something good, right?
Right.
Yeah. So all of these are benevolent things, you notice.
Yeah. There's nothing bad, but not even bad. Hey.
That was a bad joke.
I'm going into your lane here a little bit.
Yeah, I know, right?
Keep out of here.
Yeah. No, I'm the one who does that stuff here. Yeah. You're the one who just rolls your eyes and then people don't see you do that. on this non-visual medium, right? But yeah, so far we have like aspects of masculine, and then we're going to look at feminine later. We have symbols of enlightenment and illumination, right? Knowledge, right? And hidden wisdom, right? Things like that, right? You might also notice that Levy's illustration and later illustrations depict Baphomet as having breasts, right? So Baphomet is depicted with both male and female attributes. This is symbolizing the union of opposites, right? In some depictions, you might see that one hand looks more feminine and one looks more masculine, right? So again, this is nothing. It's completely either neutral or benevolent. There's nothing malevolent about this, right? Speaking of the hands, you might also notice that the pose that they are in, right? Well, you got one hand pointing up and the other hand pointing down, right? The gesture of Baphomet's hands pointing upward and downward is often associated with the Hermetic principle of as above, so below, which, this is a core concept of Hermeticism and Western esotericism. This principle suggests that there is a correspondence between the macrocosm, that is the universe, and the microcosm, that is the individual, right? So in other words, what happens on a cosmic or universal level mirrors what happens on a personal level or vice versa, right? So his gesture, or Baphomet's gesture, reflects this idea, symbolizing the connection between the higher and lower realms of existence. Yeah. So you might also see there's something like a staff or a spire emerging from between Baphomet's legs, right? With these like two intertwining serpents. Right? Do you see that, Kynan?
Yeah, it looks like the thing that would be like on a Hippocratic staff or something like that.
Right. Like it actually made me think of like the doctor's staff with the snake and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So this has been interpreted as intertwining masculine and feminine energies. Could also be the cyclical nature of life and death. Could be the union of opposite forces or spiritual balance. So again, like the union of opposites, spiritual balance. This is what the modern interpretation of Baphomet has come to be known for.
Right, and this duality, because one of the serpents is saying, "Yeah, you should eat that fruit," and the other one's like, "Yeah, no, don't eat that fruit."
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you can't tell because the speech bubbles weren't drawn in, but and it's so tiny. It's
really tiny,
hard to
and they're speaking in their little serpent language.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if you lean like really close
That's right.
to the image of Baphomet, even if you do hear something, you're just going to hear.
That's right.
And then the other snake going. Right. And you'd be like, oh, union of opposites. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. But okay, so around that area, you might also notice that Baphomet's midsection is covered in scales, right? Like that of like a fish, right? So folks are speculating that this could represent the element of water, right? And if we look now, we can see that the other three elements are present as well. We got fire from the torch, air from the wings, water from the scales, and earth from both the goat and the human form.
Oh yeah,
right? Yeah. So again, this is all kind of like a balance, a union of things, right? Which is kind of, that's very different from the hierarchical kind of patriarchal, Christian ideology.
Right.
Yeah? Speaking of which, on the goat's forehead is a pentagram.
Yeah, I see that.
Right, is our 5-pointed star. Now, Kynan, that got a response from you. Like, what do you associate with a pentagram?
Oh, I associate that with the devil himself.
Yes, as did I for a very, very long time. Now, it is important to note in Levy's illustration, this pentagram is right side up. We might be familiar with this from Wicca. That is the symbol for Wicca, is a right side up pentagram, right?
Right.
But this symbol has existed as early as ancient Sumeria, ancient Mesopotamia. It has been associated with the Pythagoreans, and it is the pentalpha from our Testament of Solomon. Right. So it's an old symbol of religion, magic, and mathematics, right? If I remember correctly, Wiccans associate it with the four elements, so earth, air, fire, and water, right? And then the topmost point is the spirit, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you might see pentagrams or pentacles, if they have the circle around them, it's a pentacle, right? In pop culture associated with evil or Satan, right? And that's where you might get the association. Again, like that's what I associated with it for a long time, right?
Right.
But the upright pentagram, that is the one with the single point pointing up, right? It is not that at all. It's just another religious symbol, right? It symbolizes the balance of opposites, the union of microcosm and macrocosm, the elements and protection, among others. Later on, we'll see Baphomet or just a goat's head associated with the inverted pentagram, right?
Okay.
Now, both the Church of Satan, founded in the 1960s by Anton LaVey, and the Satanic Temple, founded in 2013 by Lucianne Greaves and Malcolm Jarry, use the goat's head framed by an inverted pentagram. Now, I looked, but I couldn't find a definitive answer, but I think LaVey was the first person to turn the pentagram upside down.
Okay.
When he founded the Church of Satan. And that might be where we come to associate it with like evil and the demonic. But I think we might have mentioned this on the show before. Modern day Satanists, and that would include the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple, practice atheistic Satanism. That is, they don't believe in Satan or God. Their use of Satan is symbolic and has more to do with rebellion against organized religion and certain religious dogma, which they view as oppressive or harmful. Right. Theistic Satanism, where they actually worship Satan as a deity, is like a whole different thing, and it's much less common. But we'll get to both of those a little later, I think. Like if we keep on going on this history of Satan.
And a lot of people who are actually atheistic Satanists, like they sometimes put on the trappings of someone who was actually worshiping Satan, even though they're not, for various reasons, like political reasons and shock value, and just for lols. Right. Yeah. So I don't know if I don't know how many people are theistically Satanist. That's something that I've heard like even less about. Right? Yeah. Because it would a lot of accusations flying around.
Yes. Right? Actually, the only people I hear in association with worshiping the devil didn't worship the devil.
Right. Exactly.
A lot of innocent Christians who were and other people who were like burned or hanged or pressed or sliced or diced.
Oh, geez. But that's interesting. I hadn't heard any of this about the Knights Templar. And I just knew them as very pious Catholics and pious Christians. I didn't know anything about their downfall here. That's crazy.
Yeah. And again, all of this stuff connecting the Knights Templar to the worship of Baphomet and all these heretical practices. Like there were also accusations levied against them about like, oh, they would spit on the cross as a ritual, or they would urinate on the cross, like all of this stuff, right? Like all of this was accusations made by the courts that were trying them, right? There doesn't seem to be any proof. There doesn't seem to be. It's all hearsay. This heresy again is all hearsay.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And then any knights who did admit to it, again, like it was under duress, right? It was tortured out of them. Right. So it could be that all of this stuff about Baphomet being like a severed head or a collection of severed heads or a head made of metal or, a head with three faces or whatever, all of that could have been like just like the worst game of yes and you could ever imagine.
Oh, I'm sure I've been at a worse game of yes and than that.
But then we have this comparatively more modern occultist taking the idea of Baphomet and drawing this image of this androgynous human with a goat's head and wings and a torch on its head and all this stuff, right? And that all comes later and has now come to mean something like completely different and has like, severed all ties with, this horrible history of the torture of the Knights Templar.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
But honestly though, Kynan, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Oh, why are you disappointed?
Well, like doing this thing, like that was the next thing on our list, right? We were going to research Baphomet, and I was like, oh my gosh, like we learned about Beelzebub, and we learned about Asmodeus or Asmodeus, and we learned about like all these different demons and everything like that, right? Like, and I was like, ooh, we're gonna find out about like Baphomet's lore and oh, what's his title in hell, right? Like, what's is he a duke? Is he a prince? Is he a this that? And then I'm finding out like this guy was completely made up.
Yeah, not real like the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're not real like the other. But no, okay.
No, but relatively modern.
Right, relatively modern and like made up, not in the way that the others are made up. Like you know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say
right.
Like,
no one actually worshipped Baphomet.
Yeah, like made up completely by the accusers. But then even going further than that, the Baphomet that was made up by the accusers wasn't this like, winged goat.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of heads.
This winged goat is the Santa Claus of the St. Nicholas story.
This is the Coca Cola of it's back to Coca Cola now. We did it. So Kynan, what actually happens? You thought you had Coca Cola in your fridge, right? And me, as the Knights Templar, coming in there and raiding your fridge, it was actually Baphomet. It was Baphomet the whole time.
It was Baphomet the whole time. Yeah. Well, next time just ask. I'll give you a Coca Cola.
I know, right? Yeah. Oh, this is Diet Baphomet. Oh,
no, you can have all of that.
Yeah. Sheesh, right? Yeah, but for now, folks, that is all of my... All right, well, that was great. Thanks, past Lester and Kynan. Well, folks, I have been Lester Ryan Clark, both in the past and in the present. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I am immune to the bounds of time, and I've been Kynan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Howdy Kynan.
Yeah, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at True Story FM. Like us on Instagram and join our Facebook listener group, Dante's Ninth Circle Sushi and Karaoke Bar, or feel free to drop us a message at thedevilsdetails@gmail.com. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5-pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. In the dead of night, when the village is asleep and the witching hour makes the veil between worlds most thin. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. Until next week, love and hisses. Mwah!
Mwah.